Hello, this is Edith Neumeyer, and I am the author of the book, The Mystery of Adam. And I hope you have looked up my book on Amazon if you'd be interested in reading a biblical study about Genesis and the creation of the human being. Today I am going to continue to update you on end times prophecy. Okay, I'm kind of watching, as you know, if you've been following me, I've been watching signs that point us to the return of Jesus. So I believe, well, actually, I don't believe, that's what the Bible tells, that we're now living in the Great Tribulation time. And we've been living in that Great Tribulation time for almost 2,000 years. So the time of the Gentiles is coming to an end. And when the time of the Gentiles is over, then Jesus is coming for his bride. And that is when the day of the Lord will start. Now, the day of the Lord starts, of course, with the returning of the bridegroom for his bride, which some people call rapture. But make no mistake, I know that word is not in the Bible, okay? But the event that I'm talking about is definitely in the Bible. It is in 1 Thessalonians 4 and 1 Corinthians 15. If you want to know what I'm talking about, okay, when I'm saying rapture, please look at those two verses. So don't get all shook up because I used that word rapture. But look at those two verses and they'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Jesus returning for his bride. I'm talking about John 14 when Jesus says, I'm preparing a place for you, and when I'm done, I'm coming back to get you. That's what I'm talking about. And that will happen when the time of the Gentiles is over. And we can find that in Luke 21, 24. Okay, that's the time I'm talking about, because that will be the next event. And in order to know when Jesus is coming for his bride, of course, we have to look for the signs. Now, what kind of signs are we hearing about today? And I'm not talking about this word that I'm not supposed to say, pandemic or whatever word. So that's not what I'm talking about. I think that's just a very nice distraction from what's going on. I watched today a video it's called the New American Video. That's what it's called. And the guy's name is Alex. And I have been kind of watching once in a while some of his videos. And the one today is really good. Now, I really believe Alex is not looking close enough, because he's talking about the deep state and believing that only the deep state, or only Biden belongs to the deep state. But if you follow my videos, you know that I also believe that Trump belonged to the deep state. Because simply, what is the deep state? He never says what is the deep state. Really, who is behind the deep state? It's not Biden. Biden is not behind the deep state. He is a puppet of the deep state, right? And all these leaders, European leaders that he is mentioning, they are all puppets of the deep state. You know, the British Prime Minister, this funny guy, which Biden made another charter, a new Atlantic charter, so strengthening the ties with Europe. And why do you think he didn't do that with the G7, with all the European? Why? Because they're always in cahoots with each other, the people from England, Great Britain, and America. And this guy, Alex, really explained the historical background very well. And people, it is so important that you listen to this video, because it explains very well what is going on today. And he explains very well who the beast out of the sea is and how the beast out of the earth is. There's only two superpowers. Actually, there's only one superpower, which is the U.S. empire. And so, you need to think, okay, the U.S. empire is not the beast out of the sea, okay? Because in Daniel, there's only 4 beasts. Now, the 4th beast will last to the end, okay? And that 4th beast is, of course, the European countries. So that's Europe. Europe that died, that got a head blow, okay? And it died during the First and the Second World War. It was dead. Then you can see very well what the U.S. did to bring back Europe. And they have brought back Europe now through aid and whatever. And now Europe is back, and their charter or their treaty is stronger than ever. If you have followed the G7 meeting, because that's where they did that. Okay, this came out exactly from this G7 meeting that Biden just attended about 2 weeks ago. Then you know that they were all happy that Biden was the president and Biden was supporting this friendship. Now, of course, I believe that Trump was just a controlled opposition. He had to play a game, okay? Play a game so the European countries would now look for Biden as their hero and as their savior. So they would bond even more and bring about this new Atlantic Charter. So listen to this, Alex. Now, Alex, like I said, is not going deep enough, really. He doesn't really look behind who this, deep state really is. Now, I don't know if he doesn't know it or if he doesn't want to say it. But whatever is in the surface, you remember that I am going by this pyramid, okay, that is on our dollar bill. Because that is how the hierarchy goes. So the higher up you go, the less you know the people who are involved in this, what he calls New World Order. And he tells you that very clearly. I know I'm surprised nobody put something on there about New World Order on his little page here. Because usually that's what they're doing. If they hear that word, this word, a New World Order, they give you an explanation of what it is. So, yeah, it's not anything secret. It's just not as talked about lately, but in the past it was talked about quite a lot. And as Alex did a great historical analysis, I guess, and shows very clearly how all this developed. So when you listen to this, keep Revelation 13 in mind, okay? So you understand what Revelation is, which lots of people do not understand because they don't want to know history, okay? And they don't even care about political stuff either. I mean, real political things. Who says these kinds of things? Nobody. Now, this guy really knows its history very well. And that's why I'm saying, and I put it on my Facebook group, Great Deceptions of the End Times, so you can watch it. But it's so obvious. It's so obvious if you really open your eyes and let the Holy Spirit guide you. It's so obvious to see that this beast out of the earth, remember, beasts, okay, a beast is not a religious system. A beast is always a political system. We see that in Daniel 7. Look up Daniel 7. There's only 4 beasts. Okay? 4. Only 4 beasts. Now, Daniel did not see this, can you say 5th beast? He didn't. But he saw the 4 beasts that will last to the end. Or the 4th beast will last to the end. He never saw that there is going to be another beast, okay, way at the end, that is going to, empower or is being empowered by Europe. Read it. Europe, the beast, the first beast, gives him its power. Now, how did that happen? Because who invited the United States into the war, First World War, and into the Second World War? He said that very clearly, who invited the United States into the Second World War. He said that, Churchill. He had a that's where the Atlantic Charter started, okay? And it was before the Second World War. They already did some, working together during the First World War. And this is how the United States became a superpower, okay? The world power. And then through the Second World War, they even, totally became Empire USA. Okay, so the Europe specifically the UK invited the America into this whole mess. But that's how they got their power. See, that's how they got their power. Now they and the goal was always, okay, this world power. So the US became a superpower and Europe gave it to them. Why? Because they were destroyed. And they all were destroyed after the Second World War. And really, I don't know how it would have ended if the United States would have not entered. Would have been looking completely different. But it doesn't matter. That's the way it is. And you know what? This is exactly what we find in prophecy. So it could have not ended any different. That's just the way it is. Again, let's look at Revelation 13. And of course, we see the first beast out of the sea is that beast that Daniel saw, that last beast. And so you need to read Daniel 7 as well. Okay, it's a power, it's a superpower in itself. It's an empire in itself, okay, because beasts are always world powers. It's not just a kingdom, but it's a world power. It kind of rules the world, and that's what Europe did. Now, Europe as a whole ruled the world. Sometimes it was Great Britain, sometimes it was, Spain, sometimes it was some of the other countries. So there always one took over, but it was always the world power always came from Europe. So then we have this next beast coming out of the earth, and beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Okay, again, beast, political power. I know lots of people do not understand it. They keep saying it's the Antichrist. Forget about the Antichrist. Forget about that word. Okay, completely forget about that word, because it is used so false. So false. If you want to know what Antichrist means, go to 1st and 2nd John, and that's the only place you can find it. We are talking about here is an empire. Okay, that's what the 4 beasts of Daniel's are. Empires. Okay, they're not kings. They're not just kingdoms. They're empires, like Babylon, Persian Empire, Greek Empire, and Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire morphed into the Holy Roman Empire. And that's what we had until the Second World War. Actually, First World War. The Holy Roman Empire was already destroyed. And Hitler tried to make it again into a Holy Roman Empire. but he couldn't because he was destroyed. Well, simply because that's what prophecy said. So then when Europe was destroyed or got a head blow, okay, that is when this beast out of the earth could come into power. And first it had only 2 horns, like a lamb. It was mild. It was actually a lamb, okay? But then it spake as a dragon. Remember, it did not speak as a dragon until after the Second World War. Even after the First World War, it was still tame. It was still a lamb. But then after the Second World War, oh my goodness, it turned into what? Dragon. It spake like a dragon. Who is the dragon? It's Satan. Dragon gives the first beast out of the sea power. And now it's giving this beast its power as well. Now, I know lots of people don't want to hear that, but that's the way it is. This dragon right here, okay, spake like a dragon. It's because this empire now is in the hands of the dragon. Okay, that's why. Now, I know people still believe we're in a democracy and still believe that Trump, wanted the best. No, Trump was from the same deep state. Okay, he was hired by the same deep state, but he was playing a game. He was playing a game. It was controlled opposition, and I know people don't want to hear that. Who is behind? The deep state is so powerful. Now, if if you've watched my videos, you know who I think the deep state is and how deep it goes and it ends up with Satan. You know that. And if you don't, watch some of my videos. I don't know if I'm going to talk about it in this video here. But the dragon gives this system its power. And this beast is the United States. And don't think that if the dragon has a hold of our country, that he will not put in there who he pleases. Nobody. Satan is in charge, and nobody will get into power without his permission. I'll guarantee you that. I'll guarantee you that. So let's continue to read in verse 12. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. So the first beast is here. And it exercises all the power. Why? Because that beast gets the power from the same person, which is the dragon. Okay? And causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So now we're supposed to be worshiping or bowing down to this first beast. Not a ruler, not a religious ruler. Okay? This is not the man of sin. The man of sin is the person that sits on it, or the system that sits on the beast, that you will see in chapter 17. Nothing is said right here about the man of sin. Okay? Nothing. This is the system that the man of sin is riding on. Okay? Because this man of sin rides now on this beast as well. Okay? That's just the way it is. Because the man of sin rides it controls both beasts. Okay? Because they're in an alliance. Charter, they call it charter if you watch that video. Okay? And causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And that is Europe. Europe is healed right now. Okay? Europe is healed. And he does great wonders so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. That is the bombing. that this beast is doing. It's not just the beast that's doing it, right? But the beast is definitely doing quite a lot of the bombing, okay? Quite a lot of the bombing. And that's the sign. Can you imagine for John to have somebody, have airplanes, and the airplanes are throwing, the bombs or the missiles or whatever? That is fire coming down from heaven. And he does great wonders so that he makes the fire come down from heaven. I said that one. And he deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, war, and did live. Okay? Who had the wound of the sword? It was Europe. Okay? And they lived because this beast helped them to come back. And he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay? And we can continue to read, but it's important that this beast is causing the mark. Okay? And it makes people bow down to this beast, this first beast. Okay? The system. Okay? To the system. Now, of course, then we have the 666 and so on. I'm sure you can figure out something with this 666, which is, I think, only a distraction. We should know, people, who these two superpowers are today. Today. Why today? Because we're at the end. We're at the end, people. 2,000 years. We only have 2,000 years at the time of the Gentiles. Only 2,000 years, just like the Hebrews had 2,000 years. Just like the pre-Hebrews, the time before the Hebrews, had 2,000 years. Okay? It's symbolic. 6,000 years. One day with God is like 1,000 years. So 6 days. Okay? 2 days each. And then what? Then we have the Sabbath day. Number 7, the 1,000 years millennium. I hope you understand that. We are living right now smack in the end. Smack at the end. Jesus can return anytime. And if you watch my last video, you know that I believe he can come this fall. And I made it very clear in that video why this fall. Okay? When you look at the 7 feast days of the Lord, you know on which feast day Jesus will return. There's no doubt. He's not coming anywhere else. He's coming on that day. And my last video will tell you why I believe, okay, why the Bible tells you it's on that day. Okay? So watch that video again. But watch this other video first with this guy, Alex, that it's called New Atlantic Charter for World Order signed by Deep State Biden. He calls him Deep State Biden. But it doesn't matter. Listen, people. All of our government is bowing to the deep state. I know, we can say all we want about being patriotic, and Trump was trying for us to stay independent. Trump could have not done anything. He was a puppet of the deep state. There is nothing Biden could have done to change anything. And he would have never changed anything. Okay? Because what is the American saying? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's exactly what it is. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. I learned that in prison when I was working in the prison. I wasn't in the prison. I worked in the prison, and that's what I learned from an inmate. He said, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And because Trump was put in there by the deep state, the That's why he had to say and do what they allowed him to do. Okay, if you listen to some of the things that he said, and I just watched some of my videos from about a year ago, and it's interesting that, Trump pushed the same kind of agendas, or almost the same kind of agendas, as Biden does right now. There's not too much. Yeah, you can see there's a difference. Biden is for immigration, and Trump was not for immigration. And yeah, there's minor things where he had kind of leadway, but really, did he get the troops out of Syria? No. Okay. Did he bring back the troops? No. Okay. Did he stir up things with Iran? Yep. And, there's so many things that this pandemic, he pushed the same kind of stuff, right? And he didn't quit it. If he had that much power, why did he not tell this guy that starts with an F, that strange guy, and that lies a lot? Why didn't he tell him you're fired? Isn't he good in that? That's what Trump is famous for. You're fired. Why didn't he not fire that guy that gives us all this advice about the pandemic that is really lies? You know what? He couldn't do anything. So that's why I believe that Trump was really, and I'm not saying anything against Trump, okay? Not at all. And definitely probably was better than Biden, but it's not here or there, because they both do what their provider said. Their bread provider is saying. That's what they're doing. And who I believe is their bread provider. All of them. Biden, Trump, and this guy that gives us all this advice about the pandemic is getting his instructions from the same people. Why? Because this guy they're all Catholic, really. Now, Trump wasn't Catholic, but Trump was working for, got in because of Catholic bishop from New York. Okay? The way it is. Biden, Catholic. This other guy, that name I don't want to mention because you're not supposed to say anything against him. Catholic, very strong, raised by Jesuits. So who do you think is the deep state? Okay? Who do you think is the deep state? Who is behind the deep state, which Alex didn't want to mention? Oh, does he know it? I don't know. Okay? I do not know. But there we go. There we go. But this is historically is a very good video for you to understand Revelation 13. Believe it me or not, it's an excellent video for you to understand Revelation 13. Alrighty, I'm coming to an end. Let the Holy Spirit guide you always.